Well, first off, they just didn't want to make a hard decision, right? Figuring out who's going to be number 2 is going to be a difficult decision. It would have been a much harder decision to figure out which one of those young men would start. And when you look at what the Cleveland Browns are doing, this is why people spin the block in relationships, right? You remember, hey, man, I had a great relationship with this person. Then I moved to this person and it wasn't so good.
They still have the 2 ones. I don't think they went into the draft planning to take 2 quarterbacks, but very few people expected Shadur Sanders to be there in round 5 when he was there.
Right.
So the value was there, and they said, let's roll the dice.
You feel like this young guy has established himself enough for us to go with him in the season, you pull the trigger right now. Because to RC and Dan's point, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know if your franchise guy is sitting in the locker room.
The NFL rookie debate has officially exploded, and right in the middle of it all is Dillon Gabriel. After a rocky start to his career, fans and analysts alike are questioning whether he has what it takes to keep pace with the league's rising stars. But Gabriel isn't the only quarterback in the spotlight. Ryanclark dropped some big news about the Cleveland Browns. Apparently, the team is still undecided on which of their 2 rookie QBs will take over now that Joe Flacco is gone. And yet, one name continues to dominate the conversation: Shadur Sanders. Despite his buzz, the Browns seem to be ignoring him, but not everyone is. Ryanclark noticed, and Swagoo made it clear. Based on Shedur's performances, he could be the superstar the NFL has been waiting for. If you want to keep up with everything about Shadur Sanders and the latest NFL rookie drama, hit that subscribe button right now. Your one subscription helps us keep bringing you content on Shadur and the stars shaping the future of the league.
But that's the thing. If they don't play, Swag, how do you know? Like even if they're at practice and like Jason said, we're seeing them do well against the ones playing well in 7-on-7. It's still practice.
We're talking about practice,
but RC, that's the question that I'm asking.
Ryanclark didn't hold back. He flat out said that Shadur Sanders hasn't been given the playing time he deserves to prove himself. And honestly, he's right. How can the Browns expect to make a confident decision about their future quarterback after Joe Flacco if they're not even giving Sanders the opportunity to step on the field in real games? Clark pointed out something important. Every time Shadur has been put to the test during training sessions, he's delivered. He's shown poise, accuracy, and the kind of leadership you want from a franchise QB. But without those live game reps, it's almost impossible to judge what his ceiling really looks like. And here's where things get even more interesting. Coach Kevin Stefanski doesn't seem comfortable talking about Sanders at all. During his latest press conference, his hesitation was written all over his face. When reporters pressed him on the sudden decision to start the main quarterback in the 3rd preseason game, something he avoided entirely last year, his answer was vague at best. "We do what the players need." That's not exactly the kind of confidence or clarity you'd expect when talking about the future of your team. And it only fuels the idea that maybe, just maybe, the Browns don't know what to do with Shadur Sanders.
This year will be that joint practice in week 1. And then this year, just feel like that's what this team needs to get ready. Try to every single year make decisions based on what the guys need. So that's what we'll do.
And here's the real issue. Shadur Sanders hasn't been given a single real chance. No game snaps. No work with the first-team offense. So how does that line up with Stefanski's claim of doing what the players need? If the Browns are truly focused on developing talent, then keeping Sanders stuck on the sidelines makes zero sense. Fans are frustrated. They're wondering why the quarterback they're most excited to see hasn't even been allowed to prove himself. Right now, Stefanski's words don't sound like a plan for growth. They sound like excuses. And instead of providing clarity, his answers are only creating more questions about the Browns' future at quarterback.
Last year?
Yeah, Watson.
Yeah. What year is this?
The uncertainty around Stefanski's choices just keeps growing. When pressed again about the quarterback situation, his response was short and vague. "We'll make that call in a couple of days." But let's be real. Picking your starter on such a tight timeline doesn't look like a solid strategy. It looks like stalling, and fans see right through it. This doesn't feel like a true quarterback competition at all. It feels like yet another way to push Shadur Sanders to the background. Stefanski's unclear answers don't inspire confidence. They come across as delay tactics instead of decisive leadership.
What do you plan to do at quarterback for the dress rehearsal game, and what is the timeline for naming Week 1 starter?
Yeah, I want to get through the next couple days, but certainly that's something that we're going to do here sooner than later.
When the topic shifted to Shadur Sanders, Stefanski didn't sugarcoat it. He flat out said he doesn't expect Sanders back this week. But the way he delivered that message raised a lot of eyebrows. Instead of sounding concerned about his young quarterback's recovery, it almost came across like he was relieved. And that's exactly what fans are noticing. It feels like Stefanski isn't in any rush to get Sanders back on the field, because once Shedeur is available, the coach won't be able to dodge the quarterback controversy anymore. For now, it looks like Stefanski is doing everything he can to delay that showdown.
Shedeur, do you expect them to increase their level of participation in practice this week?
I hope so. We really have to take those day by day, so I don't know where that ends up towards the end of the week, but I'm hopeful.
Adam Schefter gave us some real perspective on why the Browns seem so hesitant with Shadur Sanders. According to him, it all comes down to investment. The team didn't pour big resources into drafting Sanders. They grabbed him in the 5th round, almost as a why-not move, rather than with the expectation of making him their future star. Because of that, there's no urgency to develop him or put him in the spotlight. Schefter made it clear. Sanders wasn't brought in to lead right away. He was brought in as a maybe for later. And that mindset is exactly why he's being pushed aside instead of groomed as a potential franchise quarterback.
They still have the 2-1s. I don't think they went into the draft planning to take 2 quarterbacks, but very few people expected Shadur Sanders to be there in round 5 when he was there.
Right.
So the value was there, and they said, let's roll the dice.
Swagoo jumped in with a strong counterpoint. If the Browns really did invest so little in Shadur Sanders, then why not give him a genuine shot in practice and in games? He questioned why Kevin Stefanski isn't putting in the effort to develop Sanders and see if he can rise to the challenge of being a starter. To Swagoo, it just doesn't add up. Even with a modest draft pick, the team has already committed resources to Sanders, so why keep him sidelined? In his eyes, the Browns are wasting an opportunity by not letting Shedeur show what he's truly capable of.
Trying to understand, because I'm with you. Why wouldn't they be competing in practice in preseason to become a starter? Why wouldn't you want, if you Kevin Stefanski, and you know that a lot of this stuff is predicated on probably your job in the next couple of years, however long you last, why wouldn't you be trying, day one, if it's Kenny Pickett, Shadur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel, why are you not trying to find out if they can start for your football team before the season starts?
The truth behind Swagoo's question seems obvious. The Browns don't actually want Shadur Sanders to succeed. Just days after the game, Stefanski told the media that Sanders wasn't the only quarterback in contention for the starting job, stressing that his priority was to develop the whole quarterback room. On the surface, that sounds fair. But when the depth chart was released, the reality didn't match the words. Despite Sanders putting together the most impressive preseason performance, he was still buried at 4th. Even more confusing, both Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett were banged up with injuries at the time, yet Sanders remained behind them. That decision didn't just confuse fans, it shocked analysts too, fueling even more speculation about what's really happening behind closed doors in Cleveland.